Nikki, welcome back. When I said there would be two parts, I was a bit over ambitious there, and I would love you to try these tools, these techniques, these frameworks, play around with these questions. So I'm going to break it down even further. There are 10 points, so I'm just going to do two a day for the next 5 days. That seems much simpler, doesn't it? Right. Number three is about the next chapter. So if you haven't watched video one, podcast one, please do go back because it will give you some context, it will give you some information. I take you back before we go forward. And in terms of my next chapter, there is lots going on. And it is very seminal for me at the moment. It feels like there's a big gear change in my life, which, I'll be honest, in one point of view, like I was sharing in the last one, on the one hand, I am all for it. I'm excited, I am exhilarated, I'm feeling creative, I'm really loving the possibilities. But on the other hand, it does really feel like a chapter is closing. And what does that mean? And how do I feel about that? And why do I keep looking at newborn babies all the time? But I think we will be a family of 4. And I feel very lucky to have those too. But it's almost 7 years since I had my son. And I remember this time of year very, very clearly 7 years ago, because it really felt like the beginning, not the beginning of the end, but like the beginning of the unknown. I don't think that you can possibly know what it's really going to be like to be a parent until you are one. And it's different, very different for everybody. But I would not have dared think about really the reality of what that would look like and feel like. Good and bad, of course. I mean, the sleep deprivation is something else. But he has brought so much joy and changed my life. Changed my life. So where am I at? I am 40. I was 40 last November, but I can see 41 knocking on the door in a couple of months' time. And I remember making all these podcasts and videos about what it was to be turning 40 and really treating it with the respect that it deserved, because I know that so many people don't get to become 40, and growing older is a privilege. And yet, because again, we are human beings, always looking at both sides of things, I'm thinking, what has this year been about? And what do I want to change? And where do I go next? And I also know from history that this quarter, or this third of the year, essentially, September to December, is usually my most profitable quarter, third of the year. September, October, November, it seems to really have a lot of momentum for me. So I know that that's coming. I also know that when I have a birthday coming, something clicks in for me where I'm like, right, come on then. And it sort of gives me that last lap energy, that moment where I might have been going to, chugging along, and then suddenly like I'm taking over myself and going in the outside lane and being a bit bolder and really stretching myself. That usually happens. I also have more childcare than I've ever had before in the last 7 years. So for the last 7 years, we didn't have childcare with my first child until he was nearly 2. So we juggled it between us. Take from that what you will. It was hard. It was really hard. And then we had 2 days for a year, and then we had 3 days for the second and for the third year, and then he went to school. And he's about to go into year 2. And the same with my daughter. We didn't really have any childcare until she was 2. She's an August birthday as well. And for the last year, she's had 2 days. And for this year, she's having 3 days. And then she'll go to school next year. Like, I can't quite believe it. Disclaimer, my mum lives very close and my stepdad as well. And they are an enormous help. And they do pickups and they have the children for small chunks of time or sometimes for bigger chunks of time. And they've really just been such a part of our picture as a family. And yeah, very, very grateful to them. But knowing, and I think this is the shift, because when I discuss childcare with family members, they very much wanted to have a London life where they saw friends and they did things and that they weren't limited, because both of them had always worked so hard and always had jobs where they had to be in a certain place at a certain time. And so I didn't want them to, and they didn't themselves, to feel constricted, like I've always got to be around on a Wednesday. But for me, now knowing that I have childcare in place for certain days of the week at certain times is going to be game changing for me. Another shift that is happening in my life and the way that I run my business is that I am looking forward to having days when I work and days when I don't. It actually makes me quite emotional just thinking about this, of like, what's that going to look and feel like when I have proper downtime? Because if I'm truly honest, for the last 7 years, I haven't. And there hasn't really been a day, apart from when we went to Spain, I would say this year, where I've truly switched off. This was the first year this year where I didn't take my laptop when we went away with each other. Sorry, I've got cramp in my in the bottom of my back. I gotta move. And so I'm interested now in terms of what my weekends, and having my weekends back and having more adventures. That's what I want. More adventures, more downtime, more naps, more resting, more fun, more pub dates, more friends dates. I'm really excited to see what that would bring. And so that's where I am in terms of where I'm going. And I'm beginning this with, that's the sort of whole stage 3 of this really, is that you have to know what your capacity is before you start. So if I just went straight into like, right, this is my money goal, this is what I'm doing, go into 5th gear immediately without considering what does my life look like first, I'm not going to set myself up for success. In fact, it's going to have the opposite effect, where I'm just going to be like, why are things not moving quick enough? Why am I not doing the thing? And so I want to ask you, what are your circumstances right now? What's your capacity? What's your time, your space, your energy? What is going on for you right now when you're thinking about the next chapter? I also want to move quickly into stage 4 and talk about what we have to be aware of right now, and that we all have the choice as to how we're going to let this affect us. Because everywhere I look, every conversation I overhear or listen to, or I turn on the news or I look at social media, I honestly feel like so many things are just crumbling around us. They're like things that we took for granted for many, many years, or I took for granted, if I'm speaking really honestly. It feels like suddenly everything is up for debate, and things feel very uncertain. And I know that I have to choose where I put my attention. Because I could very easily sit watching the news, sitting on Twitter, absorbing stuff, feeling worried, feeling anxious about it. And I could do that all day and let it have a really negative effect. And instead, what I'm choosing to do is, yes, be aware of things, because I don't want to blindly move through the world. You have to know what is going on. But equally, be productive, be discerning with that information. So, one of the things that we've really been thinking about is being very conscious about what we buy. Like, why are we buying that stuff that we don't need to buy? Equally, why are we not using the stuff that we have, and making decisions about that? And again, that gets things into the flow of the next chapter, and really being aware of, is this going to be in support or not? I also am recognizing more and more so that if I have positive things to say, if I have energizing pieces of wisdom, if I have things that are going to be helpful to people, now is the time to show up. Because what am I going to do? Am I going to contribute to the doom and gloom and the scaremongering and the negative conversations? Does that help me? Did that help me in the pandemic? No, it didn't. And it didn't help my clients. So now is my opportunity and my time to go, how can I focus? How can I be in this sense that I'm doing it anyway? And I really recognize, and linking with point 3, that I'm 40. There's stuff that I haven't done yet that I really want to do. And the only way that those things are going to happen is if I do something about it. And I've noticed over the last few months, when we've had conversations, more so with our 6-year-old, about the pandemic and lockdown, there's so much of it he does not remember. I've also noticed a shift from my daughter when she began, she was always a bit, because of people, and she wasn't interacting with strangers through lots of her life. Now she will run through the park. Now she's watching people. Now she's in the world. And it was a real reminder that I can be in that conversation with myself of like the pandemic and when we were homeschooling, and really go back over old ground. And we'll never forget it. Of course we won't, because it was all of the things. But I am determined to move forward, because I get that opportunity. I am one of the, that's how I see it. I see myself as one of the lucky ones. I see myself as like, right, well, I've got energy. I wasn't on the front line. What am I going to do? How am I going to contribute? What do I need to do next? And there is information. There are things that I can share with people that can make a difference to people's lives. So that is the work that I need to do. So my questions after this is, where do you need to go next? And I'm not just saying from a like, how do you want to make money and things like that, that impact, that purpose. Where can you take your energy? Where can you shine a light? Who do you want to be in the world? It's a really juicy conversation. If I can help you in any way, do come over to my freebie house. It's brand new. There are 3 rooms that you can unlock so far. There's a money room, there's a digital room, there's a goal setting room, and I am welcoming new clients. So if I can help you, go to my work with me page, nikkiraby.com/work with me, and there's loads of info. We can get started. I can see you in person. That would be so nice. I am going to leave it there today. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, to being part of this, sending so much love and good vibes, well wishes, all of the things, kind regards. When you can't come up with the phrases, I don't mean kind regards. Well, I do, but that's something I would never say. Lots of love. Speak soon.